Good morning and welcome to my gin shed for those of you that haven't been in here before. So this is my gin bar and this is my gym side of my shed, and this is my new meditation area. So I've been coming in every single day for the last 4 weeks, starting every day with some stretches and meditation, and I can't tell you how much good it's done. And I'm really excited to tell you, for those of you that have been part of my journey over the last 4 months, today as I was doing the housework, I just suddenly got this surge of inner energy and a knowing that today is the day that everything is changing. And I want to explain a bit more what I mean about that. So today is 4 months to the day since I had a meeting to say that I was being made redundant. And at the time, I wasn't that fussed because I just knew something better was coming. And then I went through a 2 or 3 month process of thinking I'd got brilliant jobs and then doors being closed, and going through a whole time of disappointment and wondering what on earth was going on, and at times thinking the universe was against me. And then a friend, Kathy, said to me, you know, it's not the universe against you, it's just the universe closing doors to point you in a new direction that you've never thought of before. So to cut a long story short, I have absolute clarity of direction that has come in the last week, some of it just in the last 2 days. So in terms of work, a lot of you will have seen posts about Aim to Get Better. So I'm a nurse consultant in dementia or neurocognitive conditions. Now, I've already found out it's quite a competitive market out there. There's lots of people out there calling themselves consultants. A lot of people very established already, maybe not with my breadth of skills, because I've got the practical know-how after years and years and years of nursing people with neurocognitive conditions. But also I've got experience working strategically at the very top of strategy, and even work with the Department of Health on making sort of public health strategies. So I've got that whole range of services, but there's quite a bit of competition out there for that. But one of the unique things I'm going to be offering, and I'm going to talk a bit later about the sound healing, but I am particularly focusing on specialist sound healing for people with neurocognitive conditions, so people with dementia, and also people who have experienced anxiety and other mental health conditions. That's a real unique offering. I'm going to be offering drumming workshops and healing sound workshops where people can be involved with making the sounds themselves on some very beautiful instruments, but then a healing sound journey where I am taking people on that healing journey, which is a very relaxing meditative experience, and I think very needed for people with dementia who are often stuck in a kind of fight flight anxiety state because their cognitive brains really don't understand their world anymore. So that's that. Now, something else that happened yesterday, really exciting. I did an introduction to soul midwifery course, and this is just absolutely amazing. So some of you know I've worked in end of life care, so I've worked in hospices. I specifically worked in HIV hospice for a couple of years. I was offering end of life HIV care when I was out in India for 4 years. Came back and I've done quite a few courses of end of life care. But this is something very different, something very special. So I think the basic philosophy is that, as many of you that have watched Called a Midwife for years will know, midwifery, the process of bringing people in new life into the world, was the realm of carers and of, you know, it was something that happened in the community, in people's own homes, and midwives, professional midwives, grew out of communities having people who understood the process and people that would support that woman through childbirth and to provide the safe hands and the safe environment for new life to come into the world. And in the same way, before doctors hijacked end of life care and made it all clinical and took people into hospital and hospices for their end of life, death used to happen in families in the same way. It was a normal part of life. It wasn't something that people feared or had all this misunderstanding about. It was something that happened as part of life, and the whole family would be involved. So even young children weren't taught to be scared of death. And similarly, it's been made such a clinical thing that this Soul Midwives kind of goes back to let's make death a beautiful experience that isn't clinical, that isn't run by doctors, that it's run by the person themselves and how they want their death to be. Let's make it just like having safe environment and safe hands to bring life into the world. Let's provide a place where we are a safe pair of hands to be with the person and just be with them as they transition from this life and they leave the world. Let's do that in a safe, natural way. You can see I'm so fired up by this course. I'm hoping to do the full course to become a proper soul midwifery practitioner, but need to wait until get a bit more funds for that. But it's going to be a very, very beautiful journey. The same people do a course on sacred anointing, which again has really, really kind of sparked my interest. So hopefully that's an area that I can focus on. And to my knowledge, there's not that many soul midwives. I don't know, but I don't know, actually, it's not something I've heard of within the care home sector particularly. So that's something I'm definitely going to be offering. So that's kind of on the professional side. The other thing I want to tell you about, those that know about my book, The Bull, the Bear and the Butterfly, since it was published in January, it's only really sold about 40 copies. And that's despite me investing in marketing companies who I thought were going to properly market the book, but all they've really done is, despite me paying them quite a lot of money, they've just sent an email out and not really followed those emails up. So I've not really had any more interest in my book. And it's something that I've spoken to a few people about wanting to get it out there, not really for the book sales, but to reach other people that might need that help and support, and knowing that they're not alone if they've had similar experiences to mine. On Friday evening, out of the blue, 6 o'clock in the evening, I got a phone call from a head strategic guy at the company in America who helped edit my book and design the cover and get it ready for the self-publishing. And they're at a time of year where they're starting to consider which of the many thousand books that they've published this year they want to put forward for prizes, such as a Writer's Digest prize. And the team at Writer Cosmos who have worked with me have put my name forward, and I had a long conversation with this guy on Friday. He's going to read my book thoroughly at the weekend, but they're talking about putting the book forward for some really prestigious writers awards and prizes in America, just to give the book exposure. And even if I don't win the prize, it will actually hopefully spark conversation and to get the book out there more. So that just came out of the blue on Friday, so I'm really, really excited about that. And then the other thing is, physically, some of you will know 4 years ago I started doing Couch to 5k. 3 years ago I did 3 half marathons, but each one I was in extreme amount of pain and very, very uncomfortable and really struggling. Haven't done so much running in the last year, but did my 125-kilometre trek across the Sahara in February for the Alzheimer's Society, which involved lots of training beforehand. So for 6 months I was doing sort of 6 or 8 hours walks on Saturdays and Sundays to get ready for that. Since then I've done nothing, and actually I was made redundant 10 days after I got back from that trek. I've just been feeling that it's been a time to let my body heal, for me to get in tune with my body, to just let it rest. And but in the last 6 weeks, I've just completely come off caffeine. I've stopped drinking beer, which I was probably drinking 2 or 3 pints of beer several times a week, or certainly whenever we went out to the pub. Gone back to only gin, but even now I'm only having maximum 1 gin a week. So I'm almost alcohol free, I'm completely caffeine free, and I've also completely changed my diet. So I'm not really eating any processed foods at all, very, very few processed foods. And I've also gone onto this carb cycling thing, which is really, really suiting me. So it's rather than saying don't eat any carbs and only eat high fats, or the opposite way round, don't eat any fat, or going on a really low calorie diet. This is carb cycling, which means one day high carbs, low fats, the next day medium carbs, medium fats, and the next day no carbs and high fats. And it's all about the percentages, and the protein sort of stays the same. And having been doing it for 2 weeks, I feel really, really different in my body. And that's really difficult to say whether it's the diet or it's the caffeine or what it is. I'm sleeping much, much better. I'm feeling much better. I've also, which is probably making a big difference, been doing stretches and meditating and breathing exercises, which I learned at the spiritual retreat. So basically, I feel like it's time now. So I'm going to start back on a Couch to 10K, and I feel ready for it. My body feels like it's got the energy to go for it. So physically, that's a big, big change as well. Watch this space. And the big thing is the healing sounds therapy. So I'm so excited about this. Over 30 years ago, I was playing my flute. I got grade 8 flute when I was 14. I almost went professional, but didn't. So I played my flute a lot as a teenager, and I also played it quite a lot for church stuff. And I wrote quite a few songs, plucked things on the guitar and wrote songs. But one day I wrote this song and I couldn't get any words for it. So I had this beautiful tune, and the tune was so beautiful, I just couldn't find any words to fit with the tune. And when I sort of asked God, who I thought, I prayed to God at the time, what was going on, I heard really, really clearly that this was not meant to have words, and that I was to play this song on my flute, and that as I did so, people would find healing through it. And for the next couple of years, I did write quite a few songs and had some backing tracks. But the only thing is, at the time, the only place I would play any of those things was in church. And that meant as soon as I stopped going to church 20 years ago, I stopped playing my flute. I've still been playing it for myself, but always wondered what that was about. And now there is so much healing sounds out there. People understand the healing properties of music and how different music and different tones can heal people. So I feel like I've been on that healing sounds journey for 30 years, but in the last few weeks I've actually done some courses. I've got my level 1, level 2, I've completed my level 3 diploma theory. I've just got to finish off some case studies to get that level 3 diploma qualification. So I am ready to go from today, or from start take bookings, because in 3 or 4 weeks time I will have my diploma and I'll be fully qualified to do healing sounds therapy and take people on sounds journeys. So that includes one-to-one, which uses less instruments, and it's you wouldn't use a gong when you're right next to somebody doing one-to-one healing, but also what people call sound baths, but I am going to term sound journeys. And if you ever come on one, I can explain why I'm calling them sound journeys. But basically, they are there to, and now I've learned the theory of how it works. So for 30 years, I've known it works. Now I understand the theory of what's going on in the body and the different sound waves and actually how it works. So I invested a year ago, when I had some redundancy money, in instruments, and they've just been sat upstairs. In the last 4 weeks I've learnt to play them. I've got great joy out of playing my native flute and learning to play the tongue drum as well. I've got so many instruments, but one of the things I'm going to do, as well as offering the sound therapies to anybody, I'm going for a niche market. So I have adapted the sound therapy courses and drumming workshops and sound therapy workshops where people make the sound rather than having a sound bath and the sound being given to them, specifically for people with dementia. And so there's adaptations and changes, and I absolutely know what's going on in the brain in terms of the neurons and what's going on in the neural pathways and which things I need to focus on. And I'm very, very, very excited. So, having had all of this stuff bubbling around and doing lots of courses and lots of research and lots of networking in the last 4 weeks, nothing really has changed, but I just woke up today knowing that the doors are going to open, that I've done the preparation and that I'm ready and the world is getting ready for me. So I'm very, very excited. Those of you that have read The Bull and the Bear and the Butterfly will know that for quite a long time, probably since the book was published, perhaps a bit longer, I felt like I've been that butterfly in the chrysalis and getting frustrated sometimes, knowing, having the vision of dreaming and knowing what it's going to be like when that butterfly is flying, but feeling like stuck in the chrysalis. But I actually feel today that this week is the day where the butterfly has finally broken out of that chrysalis and is flying. So I'll see you around. I hope you're excited, and if you don't see me around, look up, because you'll probably realise that I'm not where you thought I was, and just look up for the butterflies, because I'll be fluttering around there somewhere. All right, so look forward to sharing all this with you in the next few months.